This is Robert Clinkybeard and David Anderson with the Commercial Landscapers Podcast. We're going to take 20 minutes of your life to deliver some amazing business content from accomplished leaders to bring you value, scale your business, and better yourself personally. We hope you really enjoy the show, and I encourage you to share with your network so they can subscribe and we can expand these messages globally. We are also super excited to be supported by two brilliant sponsors. If you're tired of measuring properties, SiteRecon platform fully automates measurements so you can focus on sales. So think measurements, think SiteRecon. The other sponsor is CompanyCam, who make it dead simple to communicate, document, and problem solve with guys in the field, no matter where you are. CompanyCam brings documentation, communication, and liability protection together in one simple, easy to use app for you and your entire team. CompanyCam is the only app every landscaper needs. Check it out. Hi, this is Robert Clinkybeard with the Commercial Landscapers Podcast. I'm really excited again to be welcoming Utkarsh from SiteRecon, and welcome.
Utkarsh. Thank you so much, Robert. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, you were on a little while ago, and I think you only barely touched upon all of the different the knowledge you have, and you did a webinar with us a few months back, and you started talking about the sales funnel piece and the automation, and I just thought it'd be great to get you back on there. We're talking the whole month of May about the sales process and how to improve sales within companies, and there's a few companies still out there really struggling, trying to figure out, they're still dealing with COVID, and so I think some are almost using that as an excuse, but I just thought it'd be good to get you back on here. You're doing a tremendous job with your company, your software company, trying to just get out in the marketplace. So I'd love to just to talk to you today about some of the techniques that you're using.
Yeah, man, I'm pumped about it. As someone who had to start the company, do a lot of other things on the side as well, sales just naturally landed on my plate, right? Like you can't do anything about it. And 11 months in, we are revenue positive. We are at operating profit, have closed quite a few customers. And at this point, when I look back, I can think about the moments where we just added certain software pieces into the sales process that just enabled me to probably reach out to a larger set of the market than I could have done otherwise. And so, anyone who can just put that system into place, into their process, will be able to leverage whatever they are doing by something like 50% at least.
Oh, that's tremendous. I mean, let me ask you this. I mean, is your background sales at all, or is it more on that sort of software, technical?
Sales was the last thing I could have come into, considering the recent trajectory I've had. So I'm kind of a nerd, right? I like to get into dirty details of product and tech, and folks who get dirty with it, sometimes they are not able to come back to the surface from the depth of their nerdiness, right, and see what the world is like around them, right? And so I had that handicap. So no background. I'm a mechanical engineer, so this not only the messaging part, like what you should say to people, but then actually putting it together in a logical sequence, and then taking that message out to folks who can benefit from it is what I had to build.
Right. No, that's great. I mean, because I suppose my point in saying or asking you that is that, again, I come across people who will say, well, I don't really have a background in sales, so it's sort of foreign to me. I don't really have any interest or don't really know how to manage it. But I think whatever your background is, as soon as you dive into it and try to understand it and do a little bit of research, then it's something you could you could put together nicely.
Absolutely. And it's just not about sales, Robert. I mean, sales is like you take your company's message and you take it across to your market, your defined market, right? You could do that for hiring, right? You could reach out to the market of candidates, get a hire in place, or just when you're launching your business, you just want to spread your word. Any kind of business that is you could be doing something non-profit and you just want to get funds for people who need it. In any of these cases, the point is the same. Like, you have a convincing message, you have a funnel that takes it out to a large number of people who can benefit from it. And yeah, so that excuse doesn't really cut it, that you are not good at sales. Like, at some point you would want to take your message out to a lot of people, and get them on board with what you are thinking. Even as a politician, you do that, right?
Yeah, that's true. Good
Yeah.
point. So once you've got your, you've dialed in your message, you've got your elevator pitch, then I assume the next step would then be, okay, what does that funnel look like? Who are the different channels that I need to try and capture, the different, I suppose, ideal clients? Talk
Yeah.
to me about that a little bit.
Yeah. So initially for us, the challenge was niching down, finding a niche and niching down, because it's a piece of technology. You can do a lot with it. I think it's the same when you have a yard full of machines. You can deploy them on commercial or residential, and then you got to make that choice, like where you can, what fits well with what you want to do as a business. And so you niche down. That would kind of help you around competition, help you build some sort of a initial focus of energy. And then it's about casting fishing hooks into that niche, right? You want to catch some fish. You want to catch some fish that justifies why you are doing business. So you could do that a lot of ways, like depending on that niche. So if you are doing residential lawn care, you would like to get a high ranking when someone looks for lawn mowing contractors in my area or lawn care services. You want a high rank there. So that's a source of leads for you. That's one fishing channel for you, search engine. And likewise, if you have an audience that interacts a lot on Facebook or Instagram, so like all the cool lawns that you have built up, you could be posting great Instagram pictures for it, especially folks doing design work. It's so cool to see nice built out homes on Instagram. So yeah, so all of those are channels. Like cold email is a channel, cold calling is a channel. For us, what worked is we initially tried cold emailing. We had to build an inside sales funnel. So we tried cold emailing, we tried promotions, brought the traffic down to our website. Instead of using just the email to say everything that we have to, the email was just like, hey, check us out. And then why check us out, of course, was mentioned in the email. Then they come to your website. And yeah, the website does what your sales rep is supposed to do. And so that the website was essentially my avatar that used to function 24/7, 7 days a week. And so over the course of, once we started doing promotions, over the course of 3-4 months, we have had over 3,000 visitors on our website. There is there was no way we could have done that. Like, I could have reached out to so many people. I don't even live in the US, right? It's a challenge.
Well, I suppose the nice thing about doing it through your website and even automating it is the fact you're portraying a consistent message. If you've got a sales force out there, perhaps they're all seeing different things, then you bring in that inconsistency there. But I like your idea about bringing them into their website.
Yeah, consistency in the sales force, and just a standard message that you would like to project for your company. And the ability, what you want there really is the ability to change that website like you flick on a light switch. That's the key there, because upstream everybody knows about tools. Like, you can have Lemlist, or Woodpecker is popular for doing cold emailing. There's a tool for doing cold calls. You don't have to dial it yourself. It just dials through the numbers. When it connects, then you pick up your phone, and that's it. So a lot of tools that do that automation. But website, people think it's like a engineer's job to build it out. You should know software, and then we'll do a very complex design. Really, the function of the website is to tell people what you want to tell them to get them to that sale. It's not, it should look great. It's the website should look great. Like, aesthetic adds to your brand value. Maybe you can charge more later on because of it, but it's really to convey your message. And so tools like Unstack that allow you to do a drag and drop website development, like a PowerPoint presentation, become very critical there, because you want to iterate on it and get better with it. And then as you do your top of the market activities like emailing, and calling, the website will just keep converting and booking those calls on your calendar.
Right. So just, I just want to make sure, if there's people out there who are not as technically advanced as you are. So if they're perhaps coming on to your website, then you've just got a different sequence of automated actions, which somebody then will go through when they come onto your website. Is that correct?
Yeah, sort of. So there is, so the automation is between, so let's start with the top of the stream activity. Let's say they saw something on LinkedIn, clicked on it, landed on a website.
Okay.
Our website would know they came from LinkedIn.
Okay.
So that's first thing. Second, the website has message that tells them about how others have succeeded using the software. So they go down that website, and at the bottom, there are anyone buttons in the middle, direct them to a point where they can book a call, or they can sign up and test the software.
Okay.
So it's like a choice. So they can make that choice. They can go down both the directions. And then in either case, depending whether they booked the call or they signed up, the message goes out to the CRM that, here's a lead, this is what they have done. And then the CRM decides which email campaign to launch.
Okay.
And then, so in case, so like they signed up, then they want to know what to do next, right? Can I order something? Do I need to pay? And so all the messages related to that will go up down the sign up link. On the booking call link, it would be like, all right, let's talk about, let's get you educated about what you want to talk about on the call, right? Let's all come on the same page. So, so these channels are different. So that's, someone on LinkedIn, they came all the way down to learning about how they can pay for our service. So that's the flow where website played a role, and then integration between website and CRM played a role. And then CRM and an email automation tool.
So I think this is one of the things that impressed me when I saw that webinar of yours, where you actually showed it almost like a flow chart, where it went through all the different sequences, yes, go one direction, no, go a different direction. So I almost see, just for somebody to fully understand that and maybe even build their own sales funnel and process, sitting back and doing some type of flow chart to help them with their sales system. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. It's called your user journey, right? How you want to bring in your prospects, what experiences you want to give them at different steps. And depending on how mature they are, how much they have interacted with your systems, you would like to customize that message. And so it's not a rocket science at all. Like you would send something else on LinkedIn, right? That would be a cool video piece that gets someone to your website. There you expand on the argument. And then if they're interested, then they just continue doing something, right? Like you give some, if they're interested, either they book a call or they learn more about you, you send them something to read. And yeah, so you basically, it's like a game, Robert, honestly.
So talk to me about, I still come across companies that have the traditional method where they're either going to some networking events and they'll hopefully make a contact there, and then they'll maybe do a follow-up phone call. Yeah. Or it might be a case of there's somebody sitting at an admin receptionist desks and waiting for those calls to come in, and then there's, again, maybe a follow-up. And if somebody was to think about, well, I need to start thinking about sales funnels, CRM, automating things a little bit more. I mean, again, that's quite a lot to try and grasp, especially if you're not as tech savvy as some others. But what would be an initial way of starting that ball rolling?
I think it's a good idea to start with your outreach program where you're doing outbound sales. Because the outbound sales funnel is it's a very linear funnel. Like you send an email, someone replies, you book a call, they just keep moving downstream. So I was talking about casting out fishing hooks.
Yeah.
You just cast out one fishing hook and connect your CRM to that hook. Just do one connection to start with. Let that flow build up end to end. Then add another channel to it. So then you can add the cold calling channel to it, the social media channel to it. Downstream, you can add customer support to it. and just have different people be concerned about the tickets that are getting raised after the deals are closed. Upstream, once you have added a lot of channels that are flowing into your CRM, what you can do is add something like a pre-CRM, because you've got so many leads right now that in your key CRM, where, CRM is something that sales rep comes in the day in the morning, and he wants to look at all the tasks he has to go through that day to close more deals this week, next week, the week after that, this month, this quarter. But like upwards, you've got so many folks who are not responding to it, and you're just reaching out to them, nurturing them. So that's like a marketing side of the CRM. So that's like a pre-CRM. And so you would like to split that into two, and just get one flow, one stream of interested prospects going down to the main CRM and down the entire pipeline downstream. So yeah, I think that's really the evolution. Start from one hook, connect your main CRM with it, make it flow downstream, and then just add more and more branches to it.
Okay. Yeah, I've never really heard that, term being used before, like a pre-CRM. Talk to me a little bit more about that, just so that people, I think a lot of people struggle even to understand what a CRM is, never mind a pre-CRM. So talk a little bit more about that pre-CRM part, and maybe even some examples of that.
Yeah. So last year, when we were doing our outbound campaigns, we realized that we are feeding a lot of leads into our CRM, and that messes up with the tasks that get generated. So a task is generated in the CRM when someone replies, and folks are responding, not interested, emails are bouncing. It's a mess, right? And the task list gets all jumbled up.
Right.
So something else that I try to sort, there is just on the leads page, apply a filter, and using that filter, try to modify what's happening on the tasks page. But I couldn't do that properly. So I clearly felt something is missing here. And we were doing outreach on multiple channels. So, it was getting messed up. And so when I came across this concept a month back, it was a light bulb moment, because so think about a pre-CRM like an Excel sheet, right? And because it's a software, what would happen is, depending on the state of the lead in that Excel sheet, it can do some other things as well. Now, these are automations, right? Depending on the state, if that lead has been there for a few days, then do X. So let me tell you how it functions in one of the pipelines.
Okay.
You have an outreach campaign on LinkedIn.
Okay.
So you are sending out connection request messages, automated, right? They're going out. And then after a week, all the guys who did not connect, what you're going to do is connect your LinkedIn outreach automation tool to your pre-CRM. And so after a week, the automation tool is going to be like, okay, send all the folks who have not connected into the pre-CRM. Or in fact, if they're already in the pre-CRM, just update their status. Right? Okay, they have not connected after a week. Okay. So the moment the status changes in the pre-CRM, we use Airtable. Let's just take the actual name, right? So we use Airtable for it. So Airtable, then we have connected it with our email automation tool. And then after a week, if someone has not connected with us on LinkedIn, Airtable triggers an email campaign.
Okay.
And then the email campaign goes out, and if nobody replied on it, then that's okay. We have that, the same status gets updated in Airtable that nobody replied to it. If someone did, someone booked a call, and then someone came into our funnel, that's when you pick that lead up and you push it into your actual CRM. So we manually on the pre-CRM, we would change the status, book the call. That's one manual piece that we are doing. We can actually automate, but we are still doing that. So we move that into book the call. The moment that happens, that lead is pushed to the main CRM, the status being called booked. And so on the main CRM, I have my tasks for the day. And I don't have all the jumbled up email bounced and not interested mess polluting my task list on the main CRM. So on the pre-CRM, I would have something like 2,000 people in the list. And on the main CRM, I would have maybe 100.
Okay.
And so that conversion rate, because there are more and more people upstream, you would like to keep them separate, run operations. And so that's so effective for the landscaping industry, particularly because we are using softwares like Aspire and Boss that do not or include or any other softwares that are there, right? No software in the industry right now connects seamlessly through Zapier with email marketing tools, right? So having a pre-CRM lets you do that, lets you run multiple campaigns, lets you do all the automations. And the only manual thing that you need to do is enter the leads that have actually booked calls with you into your main business management software.
Okay. I like it. Yeah, I think that's helpful, just that explanation, and so appreciate that. What other things are you seeing out there in terms of, as you're obviously getting more involved in the landscape business and working with companies? Is there any other tools that people are using, or whether you're using, that just helps with that whole process?
I would highly recommend using Zapier and just building that funnel upstream, right? Email automation, LinkedIn automation, use Zapier to connect, bring all the information into Airtable, a pre-CRM like Airtable, then using a different CRM or something like Aspire Boss to go for the main CRM. And then downstream, you can have the takeoff piece that you can automate, and even downstream, you can have all the calls that you are doing. If you're recording them, you can transcribe them into actual Q&A type of a transcript using a tool called Otter AI, OTTER.ai.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, so it's a cool tool and helps a lot when you are transcribing videos. So yeah, you can clean that up and use that to consistently iterate on your sales script, adding on to objections that are there in the sales script, and just finding out.
Yeah, so talk through that. So, use, just again, for the listeners who are still trying to catch up here, you're using Otter to transcribe, previous videos or previous calls. You're identifying through those transcriptions some of the potential objections, and you're using that information to then, I suppose, tweak your sales scripts, your sales messaging to overcome some of those objections. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And so
I like that.
something that's essential is doing calls on Zoom, something like Zoom that lets you record them, so that you can take that video, feed that into Order, get your transcript, and then see how many people actually follow that transcript. If there is any nice insight, someone managed an objection effectively, then everybody in the team should know about it. And yeah, so you can start spreading that knowledge, sales knowledge, across reps very effectively.
Cool. So I know we've got a couple more minutes left, but just talk to me about what type of, you obviously, how long you've been doing this now, really just dialing in your campaigns?
I have been at it since, well, I did standard cold emailing for a while, but actual CRM and using that integrated with Zapier website and the tools since December. Okay.
So, yeah. I mean, just to give people an idea of perspective, and you may not have this information, but have you seen, your close rate going from a certain percentage up to a higher percentage, just because of all this automation and the sales messaging and the objections? Tell me about some of the results.
I think the transcription part is something that we have started implementing very recently, so we are yet to see any results from it. However, I would say that I would still listening back on calls and modifying the scripts. So I've, over the past 3 months, definitely changed I experiment with some parts of the script, and the close rates initially were at 50-60%. They dropped down to 30, and then I'm seeing the increase again once I'm picking up the experiments that worked and putting them into action. So going back up, I haven't checked it, but definitely we have seen an improvement this month. Okay. As a result of that. And in terms of just getting the leads, I would say, and a conversion on the leads that are visiting our website. We literally had limited traffic on the website to be very certain about conversion before we even implemented the system. And after we implemented it, so we have seen a booking rate of something like 2% on our landing page, which is supposed to be pretty nice.
Yeah, that's really good. That's good numbers.
Yeah, I mean, 2% on the landing page, it's hard to get 2% on your email campaign. They're probably sub 1% for most campaigns.
Right.
We recently ran a LinkedIn campaign and got like a 20% booking rate on it.
Wow, okay, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I think a lot of that was related to not bothering about setting things in place, right? I was not really sending out 100 LinkedIn messages every day. A tool was doing it for me, so I could kind of iterate a lot on the message, and I knew that I would just need probably an hour to set this up through the software.
Oh, this is great numbers. Yeah, I think that's good information for people to know. And I assume it's once you have that campaign in place, it's not just a case of leaving it low. And I suppose you're constantly checking it, you're tinkering with it, you're tweaking it, just to make sure it's not something you just dial in and then come back in 6 months. You're always looking at it and tweaking it.
Yeah, Robert, it's literally like I've built a gun and I'm firing, and I'm changing the gun as I'm firing, and I'm changing what I'm firing to. I'm tweaking with the message, I'm changing the bullet, I'm changing the gun. It's all the time. So every weekend, that's what it is, like looking at what happened and see what kind of artillery we want to take in the field this week.
Yeah, because I hear people talking about doing campaigns and they say, oh, it's terrible results. I only had this, and then they just give up and don't spend any more money. But I think that's the worst thing you could do. I think it's just a case of keep on diving in, tweaking it, finding out the results and seeing how you can do better.
Absolutely. I mean, if Bill Gates messages you on LinkedIn or emails, you're going to reply, right? So of course, folks reply to cold email and cold messages. It's just that whether you resonate with them or not.
Yeah. Okay. So to wrap up here, Utkarsh, if people want to learn about either your sales funnels, your systems, your automation, or even about your SiteRecon company, what's the best way for them to contact you and find out more?
So if you want to reach out to us, visit our website at order.siterecon.ai. or just SiteRecon.ai. And if you want to know more about the funnels and the webinar Robert was referring to, you can go to our YouTube page, YouTube channel, SiteRecon, and you will find that webinar there. Yeah, you will be able to see all the funnel that in all its glory, all the flowchart connected, and use that as a template to build your own.
No, that was definitely very impressive. So I definitely recommend people go there. It's just blows me away just how you've taken that time and effort to dial that all out. But not only that, but just share it with people so that they can learn and they can understand and do better in their own business. So no, that's great. Well, again, thank you for your time today. Thanks for your knowledge. Really huge appreciation for your sponsorship of the Commercial Landscaper podcast. And we look forward to having you again here soon.
Thank you so much, Robert. I gotta go back and deflate myself of all the ego that you just pumped in.
Not at all. You're doing an awesome job. So thank you, and have a great day, Utkarsh.
You too, Robert. Thank you so much for having me here.
Bye-bye. Hopefully that was pure dead brilliant for you today, and we've got some great takeaways for your business and your personal life. This is Robert Clinkenbeard along with David Anderson, and we'd love to get you and your friends to join us on our journey. 2 quick things before you go, listeners. Check out our website, thecommerciallandscaper.com. You can subscribe, you can share with your friends, but more importantly, check out our sponsors. We have SiteRecon, who are going to help to capture measurements on your property and create a really streamlined process. And we have CompanyCam, who make it dead simple to communicate, document, and problem solve with guys in the field, no matter where you are. Thanks, everyone. Cheers.